Hi guys, and welcome back to Barrie Real Estate TV, a weekly web series I'm doing in partnership with 705contracting.ca. I'm your host Luc Bouillon, real estate broker with C21 in the beautiful city of Barrie, and I'm here today with Brady McDonald, CEO and Director of BK Property Investing and Live with BK Property Management. Welcome to the show, Brady.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Today we're going to talk about property investing, JV partnerships, and the kind of ways that you can be making money in real estate today, even though you may not know anything about flipping property or being a landlord. Right after this. So tell us a little bit about what is BK Real Estate Investment, why'd you get into investing in real estate, and
Okay, so it was about 5 years ago, 2014. I was working full-time with Hydro One, and my wife Christy, also my main business partner and co-owner. She was a full-time real estate appraiser, and I was looking for something more. I was about 10 years into my career at Hydro One. I was a utility arborist instructor, so I taught the guys how to climb trees, rope and rig them down around cottages and hydro lines and that type of thing, right? So I also had a tree service where I would go up to Honey Harbor and do a lot of island work where I'd do the advertising, find the jobs, quote the jobs, go and climb myself up 100 feet in the air, rope and rig these things down, clean up the brush, and carry on. So it kind of gave me the entrepreneurial bug. So about 10 years into my career, I was just looking for something more, and so was Christy. So we're kind of trying to get out of the corporate, 9 to 5, and so we started looking at buying franchises, buying chunks of land, developing the land into maybe storage units, that type of thing. And nothing really sparked the interest or seemed like something that we could do. So there was an event. So Christy's a real estate appraiser, and we were heading up to the boat one Friday, and that particular Friday I drove her to do her residential appraisal, and she did the appraisal for this guy, and she recognized the guy, and she's like, "Hey, I recognize you," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a full-time real estate investor." She's like, "Oh, cool, I didn't know people did that full-time," and she's like, "Well, how many properties do you have?" And he said he had 44 properties, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, my husband would love to talk to you," right? So
sure.
She finishes the conversation with her appraisal. She comes out of the car. She's pumped up. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you gotta hear this!" Like, he's like, "This guy has 44 properties. He does this, and this is a strategy." I'm like, I write the numbers down. I'm like, 44 at the time. Barrie was, an average of $300,000 value. Yep. So 44 times 300. I figured out 44 times the mortgage pay down, 44 times the cash flow, and 44 times the appreciation. I'm like, this guy's making almost $1 million a year. How do you do that? So that was the ooh-ah moment that kind of got us triggered, and so we spent a year educating ourselves. So we'd be talking, we'd be going to different meetups. We joined RAIN, which is the Real Estate Investment Network, read all the Don Campbell books, etc. And so we did that over a year, and then we bought one property during that year. So we determined our strategy at that point. So the strategy was to buy a single-family home, convert it to a legal second suite. This was right when that was happening in Barrie, and refinance it. And when we refinance it, get our renovation money back or as much of the down payment as possible. So we proved that strategy, and then we kind of were like, okay, this is it. Let's carry on. So after that, we're in high gears, and that's kind of how we got started.
And you're up to, if I'm not mistaken, almost 100 properties now, right? You said you had
We've almost purchased 100 deals. Some of those obviously we've sold just because we do, primarily convert things to duplexes or properties to duplexes, but just based on cash flow and the market, we will sell some of them. So we currently hold around 65 properties, 145 doors in our portfolio.
65 properties. And sorry, how many years have you been doing this now?
Just over 4.
That is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But now you've kind of pivoted that a little bit. Obviously, you're still doing some investing yourself, but you've opened this property, BK Real Estate Investing, that, as I understand, is mostly aimed at trying to bring other people in to invest and helping them become investors, even though they may not have some of the knowledge that they would need to do this. You kind of do the legwork and they kind of partner with them. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Absolutely, yeah. So these are joint venture, or another term is co-venture partnerships. Okay, so in any investor's life or career, you're going to run out of money. So when we first started, we were using our own money to purchase the properties, our own money to renovate the properties, and we would qualify for the mortgages ourselves. So we got that first year we did 4 properties, and we were about to run out of money. Okay, so the only other way to carry on and continue to grow our portfolio and our business is to use other people's money, right? So joint venture with people that have money, have the ability to borrow money, and they also generally don't have the expertise, don't have the time, care, want to actually do the work themselves.
Sure.
Right? So so a joint venture is where 2 or more people can get together and join forces to basically get to achieve their goals faster or easier than they could otherwise alone, right? Yeah, so at property 4, we said, okay, let's start offering our services to joint venture partners, and we started marketing that. And so since 2015, late November 2015, we probably, about 80% of the deals we do are with joint venture partners. So we partner with people, again, that have money, ability to borrow money, they want to get into real estate, they see how lucrative it can be and how it can create long-term wealth. They just don't want to do the work, right? So we'll partner with them. We do all the work. We find the deal. We negotiate the deal. We basically amend the deal into their name, so they hold the mortgage, right? And they provide the down payment as well as the renovation funds. And then our team does the rest of the work. So we'll buy, if it's a duplex conversion, we'll work with them to make sure the financing and everything's in order. And then our team renovates these properties into fully turnkey, newly created legal second suites. And we do that in Barrie, Collingwood, Midland, and Aurelia. And so they provide the money. Our team does the renovations at cost. Okay. So then once we're close to the finishing the project, then we'll say back to our investors, hey guys, we're ready to refinance this property. So they start working with the lender again. We refinance the property. They get all the renovation money back, and at least 2/3 of the down payment is what our history's been. So they may only be sitting in the deal with $20,000 to $30,000 of their original investment. And then, so once they get all their money back, we place the tenants. So we do all the advertising, placement, and then we accept rents, pay the bills, and do the ongoing management at cost as well.
So I mean, really, this can be pretty hands-off for the investor, and they don't need to have a lot of knowledge of how this works either, right? They just need to basically have some decent credit, bit of a down payment, some money for some renovations, or the access to borrow that line of credit, that kind of stuff. And you're going to be able to point them towards the best way that they're going to be able to get the short-term financing in order to parlay that until they're going to finish the renovation and be able to get the refi into a more standard mortgage, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we guide them. What we try to do is educate all of our investors or potential investors. At least give them the basic knowledge. So at least they understand the risks, right? They understand the potential ups, the potential downs, the lingo. Understand how to look at a pro forma. So a pro forma is basically an Excel document that we use to determine project how the property is going to perform, from purchase to refinance to actually being rented year after year. So we want them to understand the basics, but after that, their work is really involved in just the financing end of it, and then they sit back and they just get the returns.
And how much capital would you say someone has to have access to in order to make this work? Like how much they have to have down? How much of a line of credit do they need to have in order to be able to finance the renovations? And what are they looking at if someone wants to get into this today? What do they need to be able to drum up?
Yeah, so for 20% down payment plus closing and renovations, right now in Barrie it's about $150,000. So it's about $70,000, $80,000 to renovate or to purchase, and about $70,000 for us to convert it to a legal second suite.
So then someone to ballpark it to this game. You do this in a couple different areas, but in Barrie, their average prices. What are you buying houses for roughly for this type of product?
Yeah, so we're buying anywhere still today from anywhere from 360, say it'd be normal 360 to 385 is kind of been our highest purchase point since we've started this 4 years ago. And there's some of the there's some rougher properties we picked up at like 290 and some, but they're pretty. That doesn't happen very often, right? Sure. But yeah, so 360 to 385.
The 360, 385, and then you're doing this renovation. They're putting in, sorry, how much again in cash for renovation?
About 70.
About 70,000.
Yeah.
And then when you're reappraising these properties, what are you finding you're getting out of your investment right there?
So they're being appraised. We'll project maybe 525, 515, 525 is what we'll project. They're appraising for 535 to 550.
So that's already a pretty significant return on investment right there. Even if they want to cash out and sell this property, they're going to get a pretty good chunk of return there.
Yep.
And I know at some point, obviously, some people are going to do that. They're going to, decide to sell the property, then you're going to part ways. You're going to, take a little bit of your share in the profit of this venture right there. Other people may want to hold on to these properties or rent them out. What does the partnership look like there? Obviously, they own the property, the mortgage is in their name. Are you a partner in the rental income? Are you just offering the management service? How does that work?
Yeah, so how it actually works. So we determine when prior to engaging in the joint venture, we determine the intent of the project. So going into it, we'll know, okay, this is a duplex conversion, and then we're going to sell it, or we're going to duplex it, refinance it, and rent it. So we know that before we get involved. Again, just to set expectations.
Sure.
So it's all set up through joint venture agreements. Shows intent. It talks about all worst case scenarios. And then it also talks about how to liquidate the relationship, down the road. If it is maybe 2 years down the road, maybe we ask for a 5-year intent if we're going to hold the property. Maybe 2 years down the road, their life circumstances change. They want to sell. That's an option to get out too, right? So, but what we try to do is have all these scenarios drafted up prior to getting into the deal. That way, again, it's just being aware and having these conversations so there's no surprises to try to maintain the relationship.
So the initial partnership is with BK Property Investing. Obviously, you flip the property, get it all ready for rent. If you're selling it, that's fine. If you're keeping it, now they're getting into your newer company, which you're calling BK Property Management. Sorry, Live with BK Property Management, right? Obviously, you've been running your own properties and dealing with tenants and stuff for a longer time. Now you're taking this on for the clients as well. How does that work in terms of, obviously, you're finding tenants, you're vetting them, you're doing credit checks, that kind of stuff, you're collecting rent, you're dealing with maintenance. What do you offer the landlord, and what does that cost?
Yeah, so the two companies are totally separate. So when we do stuff with our joint venture partners, we just manage it at cost, and that's just a service to the joint venture partner. So we, over the years, like I said, we're managing about 150 plus units right now. So we became experts in property management. So, Christy and I said, okay, well, why? We have gone down the road where we gave our properties to a property manager, and it wasn't the greatest experience. So we learned a lot of lessons, and we realized, okay, well, we know what good looks like because we were doing it, and we know what we would do better because we've seen it, we've experienced with other people. So we were like, why don't we do this? Why don't we offer our services to other investors and landlords? So, yeah, we offer full property management services. So there's different services available. We could just place tenants, right, for a fee, and then we could also place the tenants as well as do the ongoing monthly management, including accepting rents, paying bills, dealing with any tenant calls, maintenance issues, maintenance requests, any of the annoyances that kind of come along with being a landlord. We look after all of that.
Because there really is a lot more to it than some people might think if they're just getting into the first 1 or 2 rental properties. I mean, obviously when you have a large portfolio of properties, you're going to get a lot more of those tenant calls. You're going to get things that come up, things need to be repaired and whatnot. And for a regular landlord who's only got 1 or 2 properties, they're calling the plumber out of the yellow pages or off the Google search. They're going to be paying a full rate, whereas you have some people under your belt who do a lot of work for you, probably get you a better rate of priority service, and not only that, but they're vetted. They're going to come in and do it right the first time.
And that's a huge thing, doing it right the first time, right? It's an ongoing challenge. Yeah, and that's part of when you ever talk to somebody that has had property and has sold them, you ask them, why did you sell, and they say just couldn't handle the tenants, right? They're getting calls at Friday at 5 because that's generally what happens when the tenants are back from work and they have time to deal with stuff, right? And yeah, so that's generally what we can remove from their mindset and their alone time.
And in my experience, even though, of course, if they're not a joint venture, there's going to be a fee for your service, obviously. A lot of cases, this can almost pay for itself in the sense that you're going to be saving them money on other things, right? There's going to be less calls, there's going to be less time spent, there's going to be, again, maybe a better rate on some of the trades and things like that. You're going to be able to kind of work that in, whereas if they're on their own, yeah, they don't have to pay you, but they're paying all these other people. It's the same type of idea.
Absolutely. Like, just even the time to arrange somebody to go in and fix something, or let's say at the end of a lease term, You know, somebody needs to go in and do some painting, repairs doors, whatever has to happen. Well, you know, if you're running it yourself and you're doing it yourself, you're going to maybe have a month vacancy where we can send the team in, arrange the team to go in, bang it out in 2 days, and we could have a 1 week vacancy, right? Because we probably use old pictures, have it advertised the entire time, right? So, you know, there's say $1,400 a month loss if you're doing it. You know, for the $300 or $200 that it costs to have a property manager, you know, you can definitely be ahead using a manager.
Absolutely. So for anyone watching here and they want to get involved in this, what do they need to do? They contact you, they need to get out some financing. What's the first steps for someone to get involved in this?
Yeah, so if you're looking for, you know, potentially looking at hiring a property manager, just reach out to us at via our email at info@livewithbk.com, or my email is brady@bkrei.ca. But if you're looking into joint ventures, you want to invest in real estate hands-free, or just even learn a little bit more about it, then we'd love to hear from you. And the first thing that we always do, so when you're getting into a joint venture situation, it's a marriage. Okay, so again, it's like we get together, we do the educational phase to see where, you know, just to make sure that you understand, you know, what you're getting into, and through those initial conversations, you're like, hey, can we work together, right? Sure. You know, do the personalities clash? Are we going to be able to solve problems? So that's the first step. So, you know, reaching out, sending us an email, or giving us a phone call, you know, commenting on Facebook. And we just start setting up a meeting and just try to start the relationship and see where it goes.
For sure. So at that point, they're going to get into obviously what they need to do as far as the financing, get that kind of stuff ironed out, and then we just start looking for a property and finding one that's going to suit for a potential flip. And there's quite a few things around really as far as you know, what we can use to turn into what. You know, when people are looking, I know a lot of just unseasoned investors just say, you know, I want to buy a duplex, and it's, well, they can be pretty expensive. You know, you're looking $550,000 for any kind of a legal second suite, you know, building in Barrie, whereas you're going to get something like you said, maybe around $385, be able to put in only $70,000, get to something that's at that state probably better because it's brand new, it's well set up, and they're going to be able to get into that investing for a lot less money than if they're just trying to buy something that's already duplex. Right? Yeah,
100%. Like if we do the comparison to get into a $530,000 duplex, let's say it's $110,000 to $120,000 for the investor. So at the end of the day, like we buy it, convert it to refinance it, the investor might sit with 30 grand. Right. So what I like to do is make that comparison. If you go do it by yourself, it's 120 grand. With that 120 grand, you can buy 4 of these $30,000 legal duplexes, right? And not do anything, not for sure, right? So it's a great way to scale, especially if you have limited capital.
Absolutely. Frankie, thanks so much for being here today. I
really
thanks for having me. A lot of great info.
That.
And thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please share it, give it a like. You'll find them on Facebook and on YouTube. As always, if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing, give me a call anytime. You can reach out to either of us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You'll find me at lukebouillon.com and Brady at bkrei.ca. Until next time, thanks again for watching Barrie Real Estate TV. Have a great day and happy house hunting.